Just a bit of an introduction. I should have said this earlier. Like I said, I'm a creative by day and a creative by night, and nothing else in sight, unfortunately. Admirer of art and artisans, and a carbivore, I like to call myself, a new term that I've coined. Who loves to run, obsess over cricket, and watch almost everything. You know, so when Amir was talking about feeling and emotion, मेरी करियर और जॉब के अंदर मुझे ऑब्जर्वेशन स्किल्स बहुत ज़रूरी रहते हैं, बिकॉज आई हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट अ कस्टमर डिमांड्स, नीड्स, एंड इनसाइट दैट बिहेवियरल इनसाइट दैट आई विल बी एबल टू टैप इनटू, चाहे वो एक पेरेंट की है, चाहे वो एक इन्फेंट की है, चाहे वो एक यंग एडल्ट की है या यंग इंसान की है. सो दैट ऑब्जर्वेशन कम्स इन हैंडी फॉर मी. I'm very averse to titles, and this is my office. I get to work from an office 3 days a week, and 2 days I work from home. Touch wood, I hope that doesn't get taken away ever. And we don't have titles literally, and this is what I'm not kidding. This is not an artwork that I got made because मुझे session पे बुलाया था, लेकिन ये बहुत पहले से मेरे कमरे के बाहर एक तख्ती पे लिखा हुआ है, beware of humans, and that's what we value the most, because हमारा काम में डिज़ाइन और प्रोडक्शन में और पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन में बहुत हमें एआई हेल्प कर सकता है, और टेक करता भी है, और हम उस पर रिलाई भी करते हैं. लेकिन जो बात आपकी अमिगडला तक पहुंचती है और जो लिम्बिक सिस्टम, उसमें अगर हम अपना दिमाग ना इस्तेमाल करें कर पाएँ, अनफॉर्चुनेटली, सो वी आर अनएबल टू ऐड दैट नुआंस इनटू our work, and which is why I feel like, yes, at some point in time, because I'm going to talk about how what Sam Altman, who's the founder of ChatGPT, he apparently had an open threat for all of us here कि यार कुछ लोगों को वो ज़रूर रिप्लेस करेंगे. तो हमारा नंबर चौथे नंबर पे आता है. तो शायद मे बी पाकिस्तान में by the time that happens, I have 5 more years to sort of survive and figure out what else I need to do to earn a living. Having said that, AI, generative AI. Like this is what creative conversations today sound like. Like literally, like, you know, Zabardast kal ek client, I won't say the name because it's being recorded, otherwise I will get a notice. But a multinational company based out of Europe wanted to do Zabardasti ka AI, because AI, you know, so what is the need? How are we going to serve a customer? Kya fayda hoga? How is it going to benefit them? You know, so these are things that we have to challenge people and talk about it and ask them. Of course, our access to information is a little different because we look at it from a creative lens. अब जब मुझे जिशान ने बोला कि यार आपने इस टॉपिक पे बात करनी है, and this is not an exaggeration, I was sitting alone, I had nobody around me, and और एक इंसान से पूछने के बजाय मैंने AI से पूछा that will I be able to do this, because I don't know if I'm comfortable enough. So literally the conversation that we had. So I said, hello, I've been asked to present the possibilities of AI in the world of creativity to a bunch of pretty solid techies, which I'm assuming you guys are in the audience. So should I even go for it? Because I had the option of saying, यार मैं नहीं कर सकता, मेरे पास काम है, और मैं 2 घंटे कैसे निकालूं? AI ने मुझे जवाब दिया, of course, AI is changing the world in many ways, including the world of creativity. तो उसने मुझे कहा, यार ये तो आपका काम है, obviously, why not? And there are many exciting possibilities to explore. Again, I'm not going to go into the science of it because I was understanding a lot that you were saying, but something was happening in my brain, but I was curious, क्या से इसको और तंग करते हैं, इससे पूछते हैं. So yeah, but I'm not equipped enough to address such smart people. Yeah, and like, you know, मैं एक aerospace technology की जगह में जा रहा हूँ, मैं तो चूरन और मंजन बेचता, how the hell am I going to be able to address their questions? उसने आगे से बोला, यार don't worry, you've got this. एक रोबोट और AI, मुझे इंसान भी नहीं बोल रहा है, मुझे ये जो तसल्ली मैं चाहता था, और you know this empathy or maybe motivation boost that I needed from a human being, that person was telling me literally, that person, my pardon, sorry, AI मुझे बता रहा था. उसने बोला, यार don't worry, you've got this, you know your stuff. Of course, बड़ा मुझे adrenaline rush मिला कि यार I think I know my shit. And then obviously उन्हें बोला, you're passionate about, now literally the things that I wanted to hear back at that point in time, where I could have said yes or no, yaar, I'm a little flaky about this session. उसने बोला, यार तुम परेशान मत हो, just be confident and remember to speak from your own perspective, which I actually intend on doing, you know. So this is how the AI sort of manipulated and morphed into our brains. Instead of talking to a human, it helped me. So it helped me, and I went ahead with it. फिर मैंने थोड़ी सी और कॉन्वर्सेशन आगे बढ़ाई. मैंने बोला, what if they ask me difficult questions that I might not be able to answer? मैं बोला, यार if you don't know the answer to a question, it's okay to say so. Like मुझे नहीं पता, but मैं इस सवाल का जवाब आपके पास बाद में लेके आ जाऊँगा. And I look up the answer and follow up later. मैंने उसको बोला, thanks my AI, looks like we've got each other's backs. उसने बोला ऑफ कोर्स आई एम ऑलवेज हेयर टू हेल्प यू। फिर मैंने लेकिन उसको भी एक तड़ी दी कि यार आई होप यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू आउट स्मार्ट मी एवर। तो एआई ने भी बड़ी चालाकी से मुझे जवाब दिया आई विल डू माई बेस्ट बट आई थिंक आई कुड नेवर एवर आउट स्मार्ट यू। And that was the key takeaway of my interaction, like little less than a minute, where I said, okay, I should be able to use this to the best of my abilities because I'm smarter than AI. But I was still not satisfied. अब क्योंकि ये तो मैंने my AI से थोड़ी बहुत गपशप लगा ली, फिर मैंने ChatGPT का रुख किया। मैंने कहा यार अब मैं इससे भी पूछता हूँ कि will the topic of discussion of today, which was very pressing and important, कि यार will AI replace humans in the world of creativity? Because I did not have that answer. I wanted to see what AI had to say about it. उसने मुझे बहुत लंबी चौड़ी एक कहानी बताई, and I'm sure if you put this prompt, you'll get the same answer, and that's exactly when I stopped using ChatGPT. कि एक इश्तिहार बनाने जा रहा था, I put a prompt quite detailed from my angle. और जब मैंने वो एक स्क्रिप्ट उसका आया, literally my junior in the next attempt when we were sharing our ideas came back with the exact same prompt because we weren't using the beta, we were only using the beta version. तो भाई मतलब वो जूनियर जो कल को हायर हमने किया, अगर वो भी वही इश्तिहार बना रहा है जो मैं 15 साल से बना रहा हूँ, तो फिर there needs to be something, there is a catch. Now the catch lies in this paragraph that I'm going to read out, and I'm going to talk about that. AI lacks the intrinsic human qualities that drive creativity, such as personal experiences and emotions. Again, you were talking about emotion, and I also will stress about how emotions play a huge role in what, specifically in my field of work, and the ability to interpret and express complex emotions. Creativity often involves making unique connections, thinking outside the box, and challenging established norms, which are aspects that are deeply rooted in human experience. Baki sari kahani is irrelevant because it's trying to sell how it's going to take over and augment our human creativity. Yes, to some extent. The way we use it is how it's going to benefit us. Then I took 4 key takeaways. कि यार पहले तो मैंने माया से पूछा, फिर मैंने ChatGPT से पूछा. But I did my own synthesis of this information, and I realized कि यार पहली बात है कि it lacks intrinsic human qualities. Understood सी बात है. But what are those qualities? What are those? How many emotions were you talking about? That 4,000 plus emotions. वो 4,000 plus emotions lack करता है AI to be able to benefit us in so many different ways. Personal experiences, yes, there are examples, and I can quote you and share much later, where they're training robots into getting personal experiences. There was a campaign done by Samsung or Toshiba, I don't remember exactly, but in Japan, where they created a robot and they realized कि यार इस robot के अंदर ये emotional quotient कम है, because infancy के अंदर जो आप learn करते हैं experiences वो नहीं develop कर पाया. But again, they were training it to a point where it is possible. But जो आप naturally एक instinct feel नहीं कर पा रहे, and you have to train it, then I'm pretty sure there's some sort of black and white in that emotion. Like personal experiences, like you were saying, a death in the family, a breakup, somebody proposing to you, having a child, so many different emotions that and personal experiences that you go through on a day-to-day basis that helps in creating content. Like, so if I'm trying to sell Milo to a gatekeeper, which is a mother जिसने बच्चे के लिए lunch के लिए Milo खरीदना है, so एक personal emotion या insight पे जब तक वो story develop नहीं की जाएगी, तब तक AI will not be able to supersede my thought process. Again, the ability to interpret complex emotions, that's exactly very important. And then challenging established norms, like there are certain things coded in here जो कि वही जवाब वही prompts के साथ आपको मिलेंगे. But am I going to challenge the way I'm going to think like a cheerful leader right now? For example, if I'm not feeling it, but I want to display it, right? Like बड़ी अच्छी हमने एक example इधर दी कि यार what's the next Bollywood movie that is going to make business, but I was unaware of the answer, but मैंने बताया कि यार मैं बनाऊंगा वो. Now that's challenging the established norm. Like, you are unaware of what the consequences, what the backstory is, but you're trying to challenge. Sorry, यहाँ ने. तो, but there's a catch again. because I was still not reliant, I was not comfortable, and I went, and ये साहब जो हैं, again आप लोगों की तरह बहुत काबिल startups, founders of I don't know what not, works as the, I don't know what happened. But yeah, I would like to put his take out there for you. जिनसे
I also want to talk about
India में सवाल अभी recently किया. He appeared in India. Just a second, sorry. He was in India last week, and people asked him that will AI and open AI, which was his speciality, कि उसका impact क्या आएगा jobs के ऊपर. So this is quite an honest, and I would like to call it a little bit alarming on their part, because they're trying to manipulate. Like I said, I tell stories which are essentially lies, right? You know, I'm selling cola, which is not healthy, but I'm making it sound like it's the best thing that you'll get. I would like to entice you to go to McDonald's and have a meal and say it's the best, healthiest meal, which is it's not. A bar of chocolate is sweet, and I'm going to keep giving it to a child again and again. So that's the kind of narrative that we're building, unfortunately. And this is what ये साहब भी यही कर रहे हैं. Can you play?
Particularly in markets like India, where we have so much of a workforce, and a lot of it is oftentimes doing somewhat rote work. Should we be worried about this? I mean, does this affect societal disruption on employment and capitalism and all the things that have been running?
I mean, to some extent, yes. Every technological revolution leads to job change, and this will be no exception. I guess 3 thoughts. Number 1, job change itself is fine. You know, if you kind of look at the history of this, in 2 generations we can kind of adapt to any amount of labor market change. And there's new jobs, and the new jobs are usually better. And that's going to happen here too. Some jobs will go away. There will be new, better jobs. They're difficult to imagine as we sit here and dream about what the future's going to look like. The thing that might be different about this is the speed with which it could happen. And I think it will require a change to the socioeconomic contract and the way governments think about this if it happens at a very fast pace. The second thing is it's not going the way people predicted so far, and I don't think it will in the future. So the current systems are actually not very good at all at doing whole jobs. They're very good at doing tasks. And so the nature of the job, if you're say a computer programmer, to stick with that example, shifts to you kind of like manage a team of extremely junior developers. They can only do one minute task at a time. And then sometimes they'll do 10-minute tasks, and then they'll do an hour task. But you'll still have to think of like, how is this all gonna fit together, what I wanna build, and you know, maybe eventually it learns that too. But this idea that instead of replacing jobs, it's making people dramatically more efficient, and there's such a demand overhang in most places. You know, if we can overnight make the world create 3x more software, because we make every software developer 3 times more efficient, that is not nearly enough. That does not nearly fulfill the demand the world has for software, and I think we'll see that in many other places. So another example of this is that the consensus, not the consensus, the like absolute belief of experts around the world 10 years ago. First, AI is going to come replace the physical labor jobs, so truck drivers, farmers, factory workers, real trouble. Then it'll come for the sort of easier kinds of cognitive labor. Then maybe eventually like computer programmers and a mathematician. And then, you know, way in the future, or maybe never, because maybe it's like magical and human, the creative jobs. And of course we can look now and say it appears like it's going exactly the other direction. But that was like really non-obvious, certainly to us. We started thinking we were going to build robots. And it still, in some deep way, sense to me, seems like it should be much easier to make robots than it is to make GPT-4. But here we are.
That's it.
I think with other job impacts, it's just...
ये इन साहब की मैंने कम से कम कोई घंटा तकरीर सुनी, and I wish if he ever happened to be in this room today, the first question that I'd like to ask him is that क्या ज़िंदगी में और दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा मसला प्रोडक्टिविटी का रह गया था जो कि AI resolve करेगा? Where are we going to talk about quality? What are we going to talk about effectiveness? When are we going to talk about precision? You know, like if it was just because he keeps mentioning you know, the agility with which you can create 3 times more softwares, or in one of the statements he gave, इटली में अपेरेंटली थोड़े अरसे के लिए चैट जीपीटी बैन हुआ था, तो पूरे मुल्क की प्रोडक्टिविटी फॉल कर गई थी. दैट्स द क्लेम दैट आई लाइक टू से. प्रोडक्टिविटी फॉल तो कर गई थी, बट क्या उस टाइम पे वो क्वालिटी ऑफ कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ हो रहा था, काम क्वालिटी का निकल रहा था? And that's what we have to keep a check on special creative deliverables. I'm not talking about things that require probably agility or productivity, which he said कि यार creative जो है वो चौथे नंबर पे आते हैं जिनको शायद वो replace कर दें in the future, which I might foresee. So speaking particularly about creative tasks, there's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of debate about what will happen. There's people who believe that to replace graphic designers with AI clients will need to accurately describe what they want, so we're safe. Yes, उसको समझाना भी तो है कि करना क्या है. It's not Google where you're just going to write outlandish stuff like जब आपको रास्ता भी नहीं पता लेकिन आप उसके you misspell करके उसको बता देते थे कि यार वो फिर भी आपको जवाब दे देता है. So here you really need to be specific about what you really want out of it. And like I said, when I was trying to generate an ad, तो मैंने पूरा दिन लगा दिया because I wasn't satisfied. भी मैंने उसको बोला अच्छा make it humorous, make it give it cultural context, talk about Pakistani audience specific भी. अगर मैं इतनी देर उसको समझाने में लगा रहा हूँ तो शायद मैं perhaps एक attempt खुद भी कर सकता था, which could have been a lot more closer to what I really wanted in the first place. So these are little caveats that we need to watch out for. And of course, but when we find out the possibilities of it and then the positives of it, right? अब मैंने काफ़ी focus कर दिया शायद on the negative क्या था वो yeah, core negatives of AI, I think, but there are some core positives. जिसके reactions are very interesting. I don't know how to play this. Can you play this for me, please? So sometimes when you think of a possibility, instead of being motivated about the core positive, it gives you a certain fear, which you were talking about, कि थोड़ा सा fear तो होना चाहिए. And I think that's the kind of fear we must have in us to be able to explore it to its positive true essence. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about the positives and the possibilities. In the second half of my talk, I'm going to just show you the possibilities. In fact, only last evening, I was in a session with my team in Paris, which was training us in the possibilities of generative AI in terms of not just content development, but in terms of how it has made revolutionary inroads in music and how you can create and do what all with it. But there are challenges, like this gentleman who said कि इन्होंने अपनी कंपनी में उसको एक stop पे डाल दिया. We also have policies because we know that there's a lot of proprietary information that we put out there that is at risk, and these things might just come and face us back in the like I said, possibilities are endless. Again, ये सारा का सारा कुछ जो भी आपको ऑफर कर रहा है वो आपके काम को sorry about this aid कर रहा है in terms of how you're going to make it easier for yourself. But the quality का दारोमदार जो है वो सारा का सारा आपके हाथ में है, and how you make the best of it. If you look at what Firefly can do in terms of generative AI for your creative needs, there's immense potential. We don't have access to it right now because there are regulations. We work for WPP as a company, and there are regulations that are not allowing us to use these things without any proprietary resolutions to it. Lekin imagine if as a creative I had the power to use this Firefly OpenAI tool, then my work is going to become a lot more easier so that I can focus on a lot many other tasks. That's the only benefit I see for now in terms of design and the possibilities. If you could play the इससे ऊपर वाला, like, and then I'll show you an example of an ad that was created using AI. absolutely dream bigger, but you know, when you have to write Northern Lights and Frozen Lake with an accent, it's something that your brain, your emotional and cognitive power allowed you to write there, right? Unless you did not have that kind of acumen, आप इस tool का फ़ायदा उठा ही नहीं सकते थे, because there was no amounts of generative AI power that could help you get there. I could have written a sunset or a sunrise or rainfall, anything. So when I give them a prompt, that's where the human emotion and that power comes into play, and that's the core essence of it. Another possibility of an ad that we created with Nike, and then you know how generative AI helped us sort of expand it into multiple creative and adapts. But if we do not give that a prompt, we will not be able to get to the result that we'd like to achieve. Piche, like, it's a video you have to play. आप उस पर click करें, like yeah, it's a video. All out of prompts, literally, and similarly, there's a lot. So it's कहते हैं ना, it's a landmine. It's an opportunity where you have to sink your teeth in to get the best out of it. But at the core of it, like I would say, that your human emotion and your cognitive abilities are at play. उसके अलावा आप इसके साथ कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. So I'm just going to show a couple of more examples and then end my chat here. And of course, if there's any question in terms of creatives, then we can take it towards the end. कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. So I'm just going to show a couple of more examples and then end my chat here. And of course, if there's any question in terms of creatives, then we can take it towards the end. So these are all open tools out there with endless possibilities. अब जो उसके अंदर prompts थे, literally कहते हैं उन prompts को देख के मुझे थोड़ा PTSD से होता है, because that's what clients give us as feedback, right? But we're the ones that recommend in terms of AI to be able to do endless things for us. So yes, it's like a game. It's like a muscle in your brain that you'd like to flex again and again to make it a lot more stronger, and you can use it to the best of your ability. And ये तो कुछ हम possibilities हैं जो अपने creative काम में इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं for how we can benefit from them. There are millions and millions of open source softwares or tools that you can use. So, and like I said on the next slide, like when we deal with influencers, when we talk about people who would like to create video and on-demand agile content at home, how AI can benefit that, how AI can बहुत से लोग, for example, would like to not be the front face. Like I'm a behind the scenes guy. I don't want to be in front of the camera, but I get talent to cast talent to get to tell my stories. But if I want to be an influencer without coming in the front, you know, there are possibilities for me like that. You know, I can one day find out I can be an influencer. There are brands and campaigns out there, जिन्होंने, because of regulations, when you hire in, there are brands that you can't sell to a certain audience, so they're using AI influencers so that उनको वो regulations इस्तेमाल ना करनी पड़े. Just how you can
of yourself without actually being in front of the camera, and my avatar says whatever I wanted to say. So here's how to do it. First, grab a screenshot of yourself. Now open up the Midjourney chat in Discord and type in /imagine and paste in your photo link. Now add details of what you want your character to look like your eyes, hair color, lighting, and even your camera equipment. Here are some prompts that you can take as inspiration. Once you're happy with your final image, save the photo and head to Studio, DID, click Create Video and upload your photo. Now just choose your voiceover file you want to add and click Generate. And it's that easy. Let me know what you guys think of this new technology because I'm really interested to see what the future holds. Here's how to create.
Yeah, just ending, and like I said, I just ended with a very thought-provoking, a real instance that happened with me on the last slide, where at some point in my day-to-day life and career when I was trying to use ChatGPT, it gave me an error saying that it's at capacity, which mean कि लोगों ने इतना इस्तेमाल करना शुरू कर दिया उसको कि वो भी at capacity था, and they try to deal with it like a funny and cheeky poem that they generated, which means that well, when we say that there are no limitations for humans, हम energy की बात करते हैं, ये this is not made up, this is actually true, that ChatGPT was also at capacity at some point in time, which meant that there's so much of load on AI even, that AI भी थक जाएगा किसी दिन. So, but again, at the speed at which we're trying to evolve, and like horse shit was once a problem, energy or demand is here another issue. हम शायद बहुत देर से इसके full potential पे use करें. But like Sam Altman said in his talk, which if you might, it's available on YouTube, कि the problem is not the possibilities right now and not knowing कि इसमें से हम कैसे अपने आप को बेहतर यूज़ कर सकते हैं. The problem is the speed at which it's generating and regenerating. So आज हम शायद Midjourney, Discord, ChatGPT, etc. Bard सबको हम अगर फोकस करके देखें तो कल को कुछ और आ जाएगा. So the speed with which they're generating is alarming, and that's where we probably have to sort of take it with a pinch of salt कि यार इसको हम उतना ही यूज़ करें जितना ही हमारे लिए बेनिफिट कर सकता है, बिकॉज इसमें हमें PhD करने से शायद कोई ख़ास फ़ायदा ना हो, बिकॉज tomorrow there'll be a new technology that's going to make this one obsolete. That's pretty much it from my end. Thank you so much. If there's any questions.